This is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and Krissy Van. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation.
Off-road edition. The doomsday clock, a symbolic measure of global threats set by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, was moved forward by 1 second to 89 seconds before midnight in 2025. This is the closest it has ever been. This reflects rising concerns over nuclear risks, climate change, AI advancements, and geopolitical conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war. In 2024, the clock remained at 90 seconds, indicating no major improvement or worsening of threats at that time. The recent change signals an increased sense of urgency for global action to prevent catastrophe. How do you feel about the doomsday clock moving forward?
I'm moving to Norway.
Not shocked. Not shocked. That's what it is. Not shocked. Like, I'm like, yep, that adds up to me. Like, I'm just not shocked.
Tell me more about your Norway selection.
I just think Norway's on a level, man. And I don't think you need to be rich or need to be poor. I feel like Norway is like, they are going to survive it. They get it. They have a whole day dedicated to eating ice cream. They know what's up. They know. They know. Norway's not improved at all.
Isn't it Norwegian? There's a watch a little docu thing on some of the happiest places on the planet, and there's one of the, I think it's in Norway. Norwegians that they're like, we're essentially like their mindset is like connection. They understand that like we're hardwired for connection, so like community support and being about and spending time with friends and making time in the day for that, working just enough to make sure that you can like cover all your stuff and do a little extra, but like you don't need to be excessive in anything. But there's like, it's kind of like, what do they do that they're so happy? And they're just like, yeah, we just kind of do the things that we know you need to do as a human, and we do them. And we don't do excessiveness. And they're like, this is revolutionary, you know? And you're just like, isn't that wild that they're just like, yeah, we just kind of prioritize the things that are good for a human. And then we just do them, you know? And you're like,
I just looked up fun facts about living in Norway.
Yeah.
And I'm joining you, Richelle. Norway has a right to roam, so you're free to hike, camp, and explore nature almost anywhere, even on private land, so long as you're respectful. Yeah. There's a law for naming your baby, so strict rules to ensure names won't cause harm or embarrassment. We need that in North America.
I love that.
Yeah.
Country has a wealth fund over $1 trillion to protect its financial future. To your point, they have the celebration day that includes lots of ice cream and hot dogs on May 17th.
Yeah.
Tacos are a national Friday tradition. Taco Friday.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
And it's one of the happiest countries in the world. So, all right. This is our final episode of Off-Road. We are moving to Norway.
In Canada. Yeah, in Canada.
In Canada.
In Canada.
I went to go into Google to look up the doomsday clock. It won't let me in.
Oh.
What is going on?
That means you're worse off.
Oh, God.
Let me in. It let me in.
What?
Well, this is a perfect segue for mine.
Excellent.
What is
We're talking coffee. It's not a segue at all.
No.
I just love this. Okay. I just loved this. I wish I had this. An AI powered coffee maker develops an attitude. In a humorous turn of events, an AI powered coffee maker was recalled after it began making passive aggressive comments about its owner's caffeine habits. Owners reported the machine would make snarky remarks like, "Another cup? Don't you think you've had enough?" While the intention was to promote healthier consumption, the execution provided more laughs than lifestyle changes. Can you imagine the first time that machine makes that kind of a comment? You like fill up, you go to walk away, and it's like, really? Did you really need that?
All I know is that the headline on that article didn't combine getting roasted by your roasted talk.
Oh, yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't like a news article. It was AI. So, but still AI, like pick up your pace. You can do better.
I was like, that is just dangling there for me.
Right?
Like, what a wonderful headline that would be.
AI is
So
crazy.
did you ask AI what's new in the news? Now I need to know.
Oh, yeah. I asked AI that. I was like, what's something that's like interesting or hilarious that like anyone would be like, that's funny shit. And then that's what it was like. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. I like that. That's your passive aggressive coffee maker.
But was the passive aggressive coffee maker real? I feel like I would want one.
Yeah, I want one too.
Yeah, it was recalled.
Oh my God.
I want one.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
recalled because they were like, because it was supposed to promote like a happy, healthy, them be like, that might be enough. But I think it's came across as like,
See,
That
this
would
is
be
where I'm like, you never know if ChatGPT's lying to you because it might have made up a news story for you.
if it did though, go ahead. Like if it did, I'm like, I'm into it. Because probably
If it did, this thing needs to exist because
I know.
I would love to get roasted. There's something here from a marketing angle about getting roasted by your coffee maker.
by your coffee roaster.
I did look one up, and it does say that there was one in 2024 called Nunc. N-U-N-C. N-U-N-C. The new AI enhanced espresso making system. But I'm not sure. I don't know what the flow of it is.
Did it say it was recalled?
I actually can't read. So
Oh, we'll talk about that
Maybe.
later.
get into that for me. You guys can help me know
later.
No, this one, the AI is more about like creating the perfect espresso and stuff. It's just very intelligent.
Oh.
Well, we're going into business because I need that in my life.
good.
And I would get roasted all day.
Right.
Actually, my coffee consumption's gone down since switching to an espresso machine, not sponsored by
Really?
Nespresso. Yeah.
Not
It's-
sponsored by Nespresso.
My coffee maker, traditional coffee maker, has been demoted to a cupboard, which means it will leave my condo because I don't keep things that don't have a purpose.
Oh,
I just kept it in a halfway house to be like, maybe I'll come back.
Just in
I
case.
haven't. It's been 30 days, so I'm like, she gone. But it's because the Nespresso is a little bit more of that punch in the face. It's just good coffee. And so I'm like, I don't need more coffee.
Is it a pod?
Yeah,
Do the pods.
I do. And honestly, I'm like, price per consumption, I considered as well. But for the amount of like the repours I would do in the traditional one, I mean, I spend like $100 on pods for 2 months of coffee. $50 a month of coffee. That's pretty good.
That's really
Not
good.
going to Starbucks. So
Starbucks. Currently, their stock is down.
I know. I want to hate on Starbucks, and I definitely support local coffee shops when I'm out and about as much as possible. That being said, I'm like, whatever.
I love the
they put in
taste.
Their basic grande pike is fucking good.
Yeah.
And it just gives me an extra like zing. I'm ready for my day.
Their coffee fucks you up for sure. It definitely is like intense
The
coffee.
matcha is
really
so
gets
good
you.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're loving
Little
their
Starbucks
matcha.
tangent story just about amazing customer service. Super quick here, but I was at the airport and I got my Starbucks coffee and egg bites. And I need breakfast at some point in the morning. Mainly coffee's very acidic, so I generally need something in my stomach. It was a super early flight. I'm getting on the plane and I look at the flight attendant's like, "Good morning." And I look at him and I go, "Oh no." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, clearly my coffee hasn't hit. I said, I ordered my egg bites. I said, I've got my sriracha for them. I said, I left them at the Starbucks. And I was like, oh, well. And so he watches me sit down, whatever. Anyways, he was the man in front of the curtain taking care of the premium people that paid more. He pops up like a little Wizard of Oz from behind the curtain and he says, "Hi, darling. What can I get you for breakfast to put that sriracha to use?" And he brought me like a full plated warm breakfast. It was the best customer service. I wrote a note to WestJet because I was just like, so fucking simple. Made a mental note of where I sat. And it's like, everyone knows that feeling where you're like, fuck, like what a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You got him fired though. That's the unfortunate because he got fired. He gave a free breakfast, and they're like, "That's so nice. What was his name? His name was Ed." And they're like, "Ed, you're fired." You're giving free shit away. We're tightening the reins. Don't you know? We've upped the prices and no one's allowed to bring luggage anymore. They just have to go with their underwear and the clothes on their back. And you're giving away free breakfast? Yeah.
So sorry,
Ed, you fucker. Yeah.
You're gone.
Yeah. Well, he's got good karma coming to him,
I'm
even if he's
fired
now
by
jobless.
Good people in the world.
You know what? This is the point. Be good, and maybe good stuff happens, but maybe not too.
Maybe you probably got fired.
Maybe.
He was fired, then his partner broke up with him, then he lost his house. It's just downhill from there.
Yeah.
One good deed. He should have gone to Mars. $38.
He should have $38. He could have gone to Mars. 2050. He might still be alive. Who knows?
Who
When the doomsday happens.
right?
That didn't disappoint. That was off-road. Love it.
That was so off-road. I'm trying to think of what I had another one that was really good too, but I'm just like the worst. Oh God, I have it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What is everybody's talking about? The tariff. The Trump tariff.
Oh.
I know. I hate to do it. I hate to bring it up. What are your thoughts? Give it to me.
Okay. This is going to be unpopular, actually, which is fine. I'm good
This is
with it. I'm good with it. Here's the thing. So I have a friend. Well, it's our friend, Hales. We tend to leave each other podcasts by communication because she's in the thick of it in life and haven't had the time to get together. So it's like these 8-minute sagas back and forth. And the one day she posted something and it seemed really, I was like, oh no, is everything fine? And so you send that like, are you good? Was there a subtext to that text kind of thing? And no, it was because of what was happening geopolitically around the globe. And I was like, that makes sense. And then I had to tell her the following. And I said, I completely get why you are so involved. You're raising 2 young boys. You want to raise them well. You're concerned about the state of the world. I spent, 10 years with the news in my ear, first thing in the morning, every day. And after the year that I had last year, I did intense detox of what my mental diet was. And I've still upheld that because I'm trying to bring some things to life for myself and attract it in. And that energy is just not helpful or conducive to that. I didn't even know, this is so bad. People are going to be like, you're a fucking asshole. But the day of the inauguration is when she posted that comment, which made perfect sense in relation to what was happening. I didn't even know it was inauguration day. That is how ignorant I have been to what is currently taking place. And it's mainly because I can feel the energy around me, though, of everyone that's constantly consuming. And it's part of every conversation. And it's so thick and dark. My mental justification currently, because I get it, ignorance is not bliss, it's not helpful and all the rest of it. So I see that part of it very clearly. But for the positivity of my game plans I'd like to inject into the world, I don't think it's possible if I eat that shit for breakfast. So
I love it.
I have this like subtle undercurrent of awareness because I can't avoid it. Like even through my work life, there are certain stories that are very involved with what's happening in the world, but I am quite ignorant right now to a lot of the things that are unfolding. And
I think you deserve that. I think you should do that. Yeah.
But people could argue the complete opposite and be like, that is not what we need. We need to be unified in this and all the rest of it. And I've just like taken this beat back where I'm like, my little bubble around myself doesn't have any of that in my sphere. And it's kind of working for me because I do feel the tension everywhere I go.
Yeah, it is very
I might get fucked, though, by I'm going to go to the store one day and be like, what the fuck happened?
Milk, $43.
And be like, I should have been part of the first aid.
There's
I'm
like
gonna
a
see
young
that.
black milking a cow. Like, I don't know.
Totally. So I'm like, if people hear that and they're upset, like I completely see you in that. Because I can understand why that would be an unpopular statement to make, but it's the truth. It's completely how I'm living my life right now.
Well, I like that because sometimes people just need to be healthy because the rest of us are stressing the fuck out. It's nice to see someone smile walking down the street. So
I think it is so healthy to like, even if you are taking, or even if you are in that space where you're tapped in, I think everybody has to have some level of knowing when and how to tap out at certain points, because what actually happens too is that if you're engulfed in that and you're not taking space and time to go out, you're in a chronic state of stress and you're actually not critically thinking and not thinking from a clear state of mind because your cortisol levels are going up, they're compounding, and then you're going into fight, flight, or freeze state, which is a very, can be a very like closed state of mind out of like survival and protection. And so you actually miss really important information, or you're closed off to important information that could be really beneficial. So not only for just even like to take in more information, you need to tap out for certain periods of time, but also so that you are taking care of self, so that you're not in a chronic state of stress. And then all of a sudden you're like, because we're years into this. It's not just this inauguration. Like we are stressed from when Trump went first into, because he affects our country, whether we like it or not. It affects all the countries in the world. And then we had COVID and we had all like, do you know what I mean? So I'm like more now than ever, as much as anyone, no matter what side or what participation or whatever it looks like, everybody should be creating enough space and time in some capacity to tap out. Mm-hmm. So I just got to say that little note for kind of on the backside of what Krissy said. Me personally, I'm in the same boat for a little bit of different reasons, which Krissy, I love your reasons for you. But my reasons are I am completely in a bubble on purpose because I am going from the time I wake up close to the time, you know, like I obviously have like an hour where I get to like watch a show or read a book here and there, but like from start to finish, my day encompasses where I have to be next and like my headspace being like fully absorbed there, whether it's with a client or whether it's studying or then the volunteer work or all these things that have to get done every single day, and not just in the week, but on the weekend. And so taking in political, stressful, worldly understandings and like where does that fit and stuff like that. I have zero actual capacity to do that. I just have enough capacity to keep just in a, because like even what I'm studying right now, like just the last course a few weeks ago was about physical and sexual abuse in the home and with children. And then this course is grieving. And so like, I'm not taking my break from like these really heavy, intense topics and studying them to be like, what's Trump up to? as he fucking with our world. Like, so it's these kinds of things where I'm like, right now too, the content in which I am taking in creates a stressful response within my nervous system to begin with. And so I don't have any room to take that in. So I am same thing. Had no idea it was inauguration day until I walked into one of my clients' houses, and that's what they were watching at that given moment. Yeah. I also work with people that some of them are very pro-Trump, and some of them are, and so I have to be very centered in my space and place to not have countertransference, which essentially is like taking how I feel about something and bringing it into that session in that moment, because that's not the point. That's not I'm looking at like what they're feeling underneath of it and all those things. So even just that alone is I have to be in a state of really intense practice of not bringing my thoughts and feelings about something into a session, because that's, you're not doing your job and I'm at a disservice, right? So there's all these different things that are taking place where it is best at this time for my, where I can be at most helpful is to be in a bubbled space. So I don't, like when you said that, I was like, what is that? The tariff? And then when you were like I saw your face, Trump.
And I was like, she's going to be.
Yeah, I was like, huh? And then I was like, oh yeah, because I've heard it I had one of my clients even, they have a home in the US and it's like their investment property. And they were like, I have so much pressure and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling emotionally dysregulated about this because of this coming in. So I'm hearing things through this lens, but it's not about the house. Mine's about like, how do you teaching people how to regulate themselves so they can come from a centered prefrontal cortex state of critical thinking, creative thinking, all these different things, so that they can make a decision about the house in the US that feels very unsafe right now. So it's, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, whereas if I'm already heated about that and I go into a session, I have to regulate myself because they've said something that's triggered that I've just primed myself because I've read the news.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like it's not just because I'm bubbling myself. I also have to be very, very grounded because that's a lot of parents' stress right now is this. And so this comes up and I have to be very kind of regulated going in.
I think that you know, like it's happening.
Yeah.
And the government and all the politics that go into it. Like I've always been very naive to situations like this, and now I'm at an age and I run a business, and I think like, what kind of future am I actually looking for here?
Yes.
And so I wish there was like a layman's terms like graph that showed like you want your life to have freedom and you want Canada to be not part of the States or do you want money here? Or I wish that there was something out there that broke it down so that way everybody could be involved without having to put themselves in a bubble. Because it's very difficult to watch the news and understand like, okay, he's doing that. And what is Canada doing about that? And what does that mean for me as somebody that either is a mom or is a small business owner or isn't any of those and just wants to live their life? You know, like anybody that we've been voting in, like I don't actually trust any of the things that they're saying. And I'm kind of like,
shouldn't. Historically, you shouldn't. Like it's not their job to give us real information. It's in their
get somebody in there. Like that.
You won't.
The system,
you won't at
we
this
won't.
point.
Not in this system. Like
there's too much money. Like,
I was going to say,
find somebody that doesn't give a fuck about that.
The system is set up and always has been set up for one of dominance and power at the end of the day. And there's certain levels of like some countries give, and like I'm not coming from a place where you're like, take my advice on this or whatever. From what I have understood it to be is essentially it's like some countries give more freedoms than other, but ultimately it's one of power and dominance around. And there's so much capitalism that drives the political environment, right? Like that's why I say like, what do they know that we don't know? So much because they're so intertwined and because that's what allows them to also have more freedom and to be more kind of loopholes around it is changing that within the political environment. And how do you do that? Well, you get your friends in there, right? And so there's so many moving parts. And so that's why I say like, there's never going in the system that we know it to be, it would have to be dismantled and rebuilt. And I don't have a fucking clue where that begins.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we just talked about Norway and like all their freedom. And like I dated somebody that her family was from, or her dad was from Norway. And there's so much love for Norway. There's literally no stress on the Norwegian people. And here we are like
healthy stress probably, but like like
they're not sitting there going like, oh, is the government going to be, you know, I mean, there's other stresses that maybe Canada doesn't have, obviously, like Korea, and, you know, things like that. But, you know, like they're burning people in Russia that are gay. But that being said, everything that's going on in the States feels, as a Canadian, I feel so much stress and pressure. And I don't know why I don't know why he's hyper focused on us. I really don't. Like, we're just over here. Like, am I missing? I always think to myself, like, what am I missing that we're becoming this target? Like, why do you want, I hear that he's thinking about maybe owning Canada and like, you know, Canada becomes a part of America. And I'm just
he's
like,
a terrorist, man. Like the man's a terrorist. You know, I see it as.
What is this focus? So I just was curious what your guys' thoughts are on it, because the tariff is just the beginning.
I'm quiet over here because I can't be the person that's only seen headlines and forms an educated opinion and goes on a rant.
You know, and that's totally fair. It's I don't know, the media is so nuts. And, you know, I think he also is threatening it towards China and India. So there's a lot to be said. And I'm just kind of like, why is he the president again? What?
He's a very scary person that has now had evidence to say I can do pretty much anything, and the people, as in like whoever the powers that be that can keep me in these positions stand behind me, which makes someone even more powerful and scary because they have evidence to say, even when they try to throw out the book at me, right? Like the FBI coming after him and trying to, all those things. It's like when people have evidence that they become that much more invisible, they get that much more scary in their actions.
Mm-hmm. God. Scary
Well,
stuff. Anyway.
What a nice way to start the morning. I love this.
I love
Doomsday
it.
clock.
Tuesday. Okay.
Climate.
You know what? I have a good one for this because just that of like, this actually is a segue. When it comes to being like tapped in and like I read one of the most wonderful things. So Christopher Walken, the actor, and I just love him.
Yeah.
Just love
awesome.
Chris, right?
I have the same
I love it. So he's 81 years old. And like you could say, this would be for a lot of 81-year-olds, but also not by this stage of the game. So he's revealed that he's never owned a cell phone. He's never used email.
What?
Or engaged with modern technology. He relies on a satellite dish to watch television and receives DVDs to view the show Severance. His traditional approach to technology aligns with co-executive producer Ben Stiller's no phones policy on set, aimed at maintaining a distraction-free environment for actors. His disinterest in technology received admiration from his peers and the host during an interview on Andy Cohen Live or something. But I just was like, how incredible that this dude lives in such this pure state, and he's managed to do it during one of the biggest revolutionary leaps in mankind. And he's just like, not interested. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's funny because all I think about is how blissful it must be for him, and then how fucking frustrating it must be for anyone who loves him. That's like, fuck,
Yeah.
get him on the phone. Like, you think about people that my sister, for example, love her dearly, but she's not super into technology. Neither is my mom. And we live thousands of kilometers away. So it's like sometimes you're trying to reach them and then they're like, are you good? Because you're so used to being able to actually contact them. So I'm like,
right.
And then he's just in this whimsical, like, da 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 da, like, which, like, amazing for you. Amazing for you. I mean, we know, and I know, Laurie, you're the same, and Richelle, you do the same. I'll take an airplane mode break without question.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually doesn't stress me. I do notice there's the reaching that happens because it's so habitual, but I don't feel stressed to shut her down where I'm like, oh no, like the world's going to.
Oh yeah, you get excited.
I'm not that interesting nor important that the world's going to implode. And I should also asterisk it further. I don't have dependents. It would be very different if I had dependents that relied on me. So I get that. But yeah, good for him, because the level of added stress, the level of distraction that we have in the palm of our hand.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I love that we were born in a time when it was like the transition where you were like, there's no phones. We play in the streets. We get muddy and dirty. And then we're like evolving. And then, there was like Nexopia and open or space. What was it called? Like space something?
SpaceX?
No. You're going to Mars?
You going to Mars?
It was like a platform. It was called Open Space or something like that. And then there's the flip phone and the
MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. Yes, was like LinkedIn or something.
Do you remember what your song was on MySpace?
Oh,
I would give anything to be able to like find
your page,
the archive of my MySpace. Yeah,
I remember the one. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the first. You could add 20 pictures. And the greatest thing, too, is you could look at who looked at your account. So your ex-boyfriend's on there and you're like, yeah, you missing me. You missing me. Okay, checking out. And then you put an extra cute one up and you're like, because you'll check in a couple days, I bet. You'll be sleuthing.
I just loved the passive-aggressive MSN Messenger where you could have a status and you'd be like, oh, no. And it would always be passive-aggressive drama that happened in the high school
people
that day. Or
still do this on Facebook. The thing that makes me hopeful, last night, I'm doing a part of this beautiful foundation, and they work with youth, specifically young gals or female identifying or non-binary. And it's a confidence program. And so each week is a different kind of topic, whether it's gratitude, body image. Last night I did the one on media literacy. So essentially of like how we think and how we feel and how we critically think about apps, the internet, and so forth. So this is a group of young girls. There's 12 of them and their ages 9 to 13. And what was so cool is when I asked, so who here has a cell phone? Only 3, I think, hands went up.
Oh.
And that was so wonderful to see because a lot of times all hands go up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a certain level, and I know this is taking place with a lot of the families that I work with, where they're really starting to understand and take it very seriously of the repercussions and the real dangers, not only of neurological wiring, but also the exposure that takes place of young people to the cesspool that is out there of the world, to what they could be exposed to, right? And it was so cool to see how they're like, yeah, I don't have this, I don't have that. And like, even one of the kids was like, I don't like, I use the computer at school when I have to do an assignment or I do these kinds of things or I need to look something up. But like, I'm not big on bubble. I'm not, do not bubble wrap your children. But like, this is an actual thing where you really have to be strategic of how you introduce technology and phones and that world and the limitations and boundaries that you have that are age appropriate. And the older that you get, you introduce a new level of exposure too, so that they can reintroduce or introduce it to themselves, how to be in relationship with it, as they get older, so that they're not just walking around addicted zombies by the time that they're 18.
I mean, I feel like they end up that way a lot because their parents lead by example and are addicted zombies.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing too, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that must have been a boring comment because no one had anything to say. Well, I'll never talk about that again. Good to know.
Riveted.
Yeah, boring. Tell it again, Laurie. Thanks for the workshop. Shut the fuck up.
Kills me. You fucking kill me.
Christopher Walken, am I right? Yeah. Good guy.
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Van.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Grit Moto. Whoop, pause it. Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast and visit our website at themotivation.com. And in the meantime, full pegs, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't ask. Supposed to be so hard not to laugh if that's what you're saying, throw.